Hi, it's Marina the Soul Alchemist. It is time for Pick Your Own Card, weekly guidance for the 27th through to the 2nd of June. So I'm using the Akashic Record card deck, modality in a box. So if you've not got your hands on a deck, then please do reach out to me if you want to know a little bit more, want to understand why it's a modality in a box and not just a set of oracle cards. It does support you with being able to actually activate healing in the Akashic Records as well. So that's why it does more than just read cards or give you messages from the Akashic Records. It does so much more. So do click the link below or reach out to me. We can have a conversation and I can share more about that as well. If you've not had a chance to tune in, I want you to tune in to cards 1, 2, or 3. I will reveal the messages, themes, and energies now, and it's all about relationships. So the bonus card is about relationships. And what we have here, what I feel is a really good blueprint for us to have aligned relationships. So each card brings a different level or a different layer of consideration to the relationships that perhaps we are striving for, the relationships that we already have, and it's just maybe a little check-in, and also the relationships that maybe we want to or are ready to let go, and this is like confirmation. So use this information that I share with you, and if you ideally you listen to all cards because you get that full blueprint then for aligned, I would say, relationships. Now when I say relationships, it can be intimate relationships, partnerships, collaborations, colleagues, peers, clients, friends, family, soul tribe. It's relationships of all kinds. So let me know what you think of this session, and also let me know in the comments what cards you actually picked. Now I picked card 3 as my main card, but I'm absolutely taking all of these as the full message that's going to help me through this week in particular. But for me, this is beyond this week. This is a blueprint for aligned relationships. When I say aligned relationships, the relationships that we are heading towards in the 5D, ideally. Of course, we've got some way to go with some of our relationships, but that's okay. So also just to let you know, the Akashic spray is in stock, and this is your magic potency in a bottle. Oh, love the smell, and it gives me tingles when I spray it, and it just really helps with connection to your higher self, connection to the higher realms and etheric realms, to your spirit guides, spirit team, those aspects of you that you want to sit and contemplate with, to connect with, to get clearer messages or clearer connections, whether you're journaling, meditating, doing spell work, oracle card work, tarot work. Maybe you just want to raise your vibration because, you know, you just feel like you need a little pep me up in the afternoon. It's that's the that's the potency that does it. So let me know if you want any more info about that. Akashic Ascension aura spray also. Okay, so if you pick card 1 as your main card, it's soul alignment. And also just to let you know, with these cards, all of these 4 cards, there is a common theme, which I will reveal at the end, but it'll be interesting to see if you notice what this common theme is between all of these cards as well. So soul alignment. So what do we mean by soul alignment? So when we think about our relationships, we're going to have those relationships that are feeling aligned. They feel good. They feel encouraging. They feel nurturing. And then there's going to be those relationships that feel more challenging, that perhaps feel a pain in the butt. They're the relationships that maybe are past their sell-by date, you know. And we do have both types of relationships, and of course the relationships that feel more challenging, there can absolutely be still a lesson of growth and evolution for our soul within that. So there is a purpose to some of those challenging relationships where it's allowing us to come into alignment, and that could be through our requirement to maybe set better boundaries with those challenging relationships, maybe to communicate more effectively, share what our needs and our desires are with those people, rather than just like always accepting other people's needs and desires before your own. And then feeling resentful or frustrated, but not actually doing anything about it. So those are the types of relationships that perhaps feel challenging, but they support a soul alignment. If you can see the soul alignment that is needed, that you can see where you're being prodded and poked, and you actually stop and realize, I am being prodded and poked here. What do I need to do differently to actually address that? And with the addressing of that and noticing and the acknowledgement of that, then you start to shift yourself, the relationship with yourself, into soul alignment. And it might be that that relationship dynamic gets better because you have changed, you're doing something different. It might be that the relationship, that connection fades away, because what we're doing is we're still coming into soul alignment, and we're not a vibrational match then for that relationship. So it deselects itself, and it doesn't have to be done in a really stressful, dramatic way. It can be just that person stops calling, or you stop calling, and there's no drama with it. So it's really interesting what can happen once we start to place our relationships into a more alignment with who we are. It kind of works. It works for us, and it works for our own soul alignment, but it also helps with the alignment of our relationships as well, which are more nurturing, more fulfilling, more encouraging. Those relationships that are supporting you in your alignment of your soul. So that could be like healers and therapists that you work with, and nutritionists, people that help exercise your body. All of that is soul alignment. People that help you to meditate, to connect with the higher realms, they're supporting your soul alignment. So teachers, mentors, friends, soul sisters, soul brothers, all of that is all about soul alignment. But notice those challenging relationships are also supporting you, or giving you the opportunity to also align at soul level, but it's whether you're choosing that or not. So if you pick card 1 as your main card, just look at your relationships this week. Notice if any are challenging, and just ask yourself, what is it that you're being shown here, and what can you do to shift the alignment? And if you're surrounded by just beautiful souls this week, then just really celebrate that, because that's just something to be really grateful for, because it helps with this expansion of us. So that's card 1. So let me know how that card resonates. Now, if you're going on to card 2, and card 2 is your main card, please go back and listen to card 1, because that is kind of like, this is a blueprint of our relationships, which is the main theme for this week. And I've just given some kind of good advice and things to check out for with relationships and your connections. So if you pick card 2 as your main card, this for me is the honoring of the other person and ourselves within a relationship, and it's wisdom and mastery. So ideally, relationships allow for wisdom. They allow for individual opinion. They allow for us to demonstrate our mastery and our knowledge and our skills and our abilities and our talents. And there's an honoring of that. And there isn't that kind of competitive edge. There isn't this like, I've got to outdo you for me to feel better about myself. The ideal relationships, the ones that are nourishing and encouraging and supportive, hold space for everybody's wisdom and mastery, and there's a space for everybody in there. So the competitive bit and I've got to be the best just doesn't come into it, because it's a collective, co-creative, connective relationship that allows your wisdom and mastery, the celebration of your wisdom and mastery, as I say, the honoring, the acknowledgement of your skill set. and what you bring into a relationship. Now, it might be not something that is constantly talked about, but if it's more about you checking in with yourself, and it's like, do I get to share or actually do my wisdom and mastery in some way? Do I know what my wisdom and mastery is within this relationship? What do I bring to this relationship? How does it help this connection that I have with this person? And it might be that you've got very similar things that are bringing you together, because, you know, birds of a feather flock together. So that's our soul tribe. So there could be some commonalities there. And so we feel encouraged just to kind of share what it is that we know about that particular topic. And, you know, we know that people are going to hear us and understand us or be interested. But then we've got other kinds of relationships where there isn't that commonality, but there's still the honoring and the respect of that other person's abilities. And, you know, it could be that one person brings one thing to the table, the other person brings the other thing, and, you know, it's a complete match, you know, because they fulfill the thing that you're not very good at, or don't have much knowledge on, or don't particularly like doing, but the other person absolutely loves doing it. You know, numbers, for instance, or cooking, or, you know, gardening, whatever it might be, working with cars, mechanical stuff, tech. So do you feel that your wisdom and mastery is respected in a relationship, in a connection? Or is it just brushed to one side, not really, you know, not really kind of recognized, maybe not appreciated? And if that's the case, then is there a conversation that needs to be had? Is there more awareness that needs to be had? Like, for instance, I'm thinking family, you know, we can become very accustomed to one particular person doing a particular role, chores, because they're really good at it, they're really quick and all of that. But the other person can then feel really put on, me talking from experience here, and feel quite unappreciated. So it's down to that person that feels unappreciated to then have a conversation and say, look, you know, this is a collective household, and a bit of appreciation would be nice, or a bit of help and support would also be nice, so that we share the load, because you can also become the wisdom and mastery of this particular thing as well. But that also is then down to the person to actually share that information and recognize that it might be done in a slower time frame. Again, talking from experience. But wisdom and mastery, it's the stuff that really that means a lot to us. So going beyond the kind of like, you know, the household chores and things like that, it's the stuff that makes us tick. Do you feel that you're able to not necessarily have the ability to maybe share it with people that just really don't have any interest? Again, this talking from personal experience, I don't really talk a lot about my work with my husband, but I know that I have his full support, undoubtedly, and his respect, and his encouragement, and his joy at kind of the success that I have, because he sees the joy that it brings me, and, you know, also the hours that I put in. But I find other people to share my wisdom and mastery with, but that connection supports me because I feel supported, I feel acknowledged, but I don't need to go into the detail of it. I find other people to go into the detail of that, you know, soul business sisters and brothers. So wisdom and mastery. So that's another key thing, another key part of the, you know, an aligned blueprint of your relationship. So that's 2 cards down. If you have picked card 3 as your main card, please go and listen to 1 and 2. And when I show you card 3, just let me know now if you're starting to see what the commonality is between these cards. You may not. And if you've got the deck of cards, get these cards out. Play along with me each week as well. This is good training and good learning for you to understand how I actually read these cards each week, because, as you notice, I don't look at the book. I very much encourage you to tune into the card. And I will talk more about this on my certification that I'm actually going to be creating over the summer, ready for autumn or spring, depending on where you are. So, you know, if you want more details or you'd like to put yourself on a wait list for the certification and get in on the early bird, then let me know. I would love to share that detail with you as well. So card 3. Oh, unconditional love. Yes. Now, unconditional love is a bit of a harder thing to actually attain in all of our relationships. But that's the goal. Now, the first and most important connection that we have for unconditional love is that with ourselves. So even though we're talking about relationships, and most of this is kind of our external relationships, we've also got to take on board our internal relationship. And so the most important relationship that we have to talk about unconditional love with is that of ourselves, and where we can unconditionally love all aspects of ourselves, which is a massive ask. Oh my gosh, you know, because you could go through your physical body and name things that there's no way you're probably going to have unconditional love for, because we've not done the work on it. And we've not really pointed out all the things that we are grateful for that part of our body, because all we see is the negative, because that's where the ego and the shadow likes to take us. So that's where the work is, unconditional love with ourselves. But some people are going to find that they will have the unconditional love much more easier with the external relationships. I mean, when we think about our favorite pets, that's an easy one for me to connect in with personally, with unconditional love. I just know straight away, yes, that's what that feels like. For some people, it will be like newborn babies, you know. For some people, it might be their car. I don't know. Not me. Not that bothered about cars. But you know where I'm coming from. Unconditional love. There will be something where you can connect with that sense of love that is unconditional. There's no conditions placed upon it. You will give freely in that relationship and not have any expectation of anything in return back, because you want to just give that love. It comes from you. It's not something that you've even got to think about. You just have the love there. So there will be lots of relationships that we have where there are conditions placed. I'll do this if you do that. And it's not even said, it will be unsaid, because we've created a dynamic within the relationship. And, you know, a lot of it can be connected with archetype and our roles that we play within our relationships, what's expected from a conditioning and our societal perspective. But unconditional love is part of the blueprint of 5D relationships. And it's kind of what we're becoming more aware of. And so the more that we can bring that into our awareness, that's fabulous. That's great. That's all we need to do at this point. And if we can focus on the unconditional love for ourselves as a primary thing, then we are making change. We are making massive ripples in humanity, because we are role modeling what it is to have unconditional love for ourselves and come from a place of love, which is, you know, it's what we're on the ascension path for. So unconditional love, another part of the blueprint of relationships. So if you pick card 3 for this week, where can you bring more unconditional love into relationship with yourself and into relationship with others? It might be even just you connecting in with, what does unconditional love feel like or look like or think like, even for those that are not real big feelers? What is that for you? Just start with that question. Start with that question. So let me know how these cards are resonating. Let me know if you've got a sense of what the commonality is with these cards so far. We're going to go into the bonus cards, which is just another part of the blueprint for relationships of all types. And it is alchemy and magic. Of course, we've got to have a bit of magic in our relationships, a bit of mystery, a bit of dynamic connection, sparks. It depends on the kind of relationship, I suppose, but I think the alchemy and magic, there needs to be that space for that as well. There does need to be that space. That's I'm trying to think of the words. For me, it's the kind of like that spark, that mystery as well. For some people, it also could be the space to be able to create alchemy and magic as well. But that comes back to your wisdom and mastery card and having that space and having the respect for that. So for me, relationships is also the alchemy and the magic. Also knowing that the right relationships, even though they may not feel right, the right relationships are coming into your experience based on your vibration, based on your karmic lessons and growth lessons, based on the contracts, the soul contracts that you created with souls before you've come into this lifetime. So there is a lot of stuff that happens that we can't see that is supporting our relationship dynamics in some shape or form, supporting our relationship blueprint. But the more conscious that we can bring to our relationships, the more that we come back into that soul alignment, the more that we have a more divinely aligned blueprint for our relationships. And it still comes back to ourselves as well. What is a relationship like with ourselves? Because that's what we attract back in. Our external is a reflection of our internal. Not everything we can plan, not everything that we can see. So there is an element of trust. There's an element of trust to the relationships, in terms of why I have incarnated with this particular person, this person that books the hell out of me. Why have I incarnated with this person? And that's where we've got to come back to the conscious awareness. Notice there is an alchemy and magic. We can apply alchemy and magic in our relationships in all forms. Now, if we're actually literally doing some alchemy and magic, as in like pendulum alchemy, Akashic alchemy, any other kind of alchemy, then of course, everything's got to be done for the highest good of all concerned. If you want to be karmically covered, we don't create alchemy and magic in relationships without that statement being placed in the process. Because if it's not for the highest good of the other person, then we don't want to be doing anything that's against their free will, basically. So alchemy and magic, where can you create more magic in your relationships? And that could be, as I say, letting some of those relationships go because you don't feel very magical within those relationships. They don't give the spark. They don't give that sense of mystery or support or encouragement or love within them. So there might be an element of you being able to alchemize relationships where they improve and they stay, or they improve and they get released. So there is this element of alchemy and magic that also can happen in our relationships as well. So do you need to alchemize and create some magic within your relationships? Do you need to have some really beautiful connections, contact some people, maybe make some plans to meet up with people and create a bit more of a spark and that magic in your relationships? If things feeling a little bit stale, just need to spice things up, that could be something that you maybe want to consider this week as well. So let me know how those cards resonate. I'd love to hear. And I'm going to just show you all of these cards together just to see if you have noticed what the commonality is with these cards. Let me know in the comments and I will respond. I'm not going to actually reveal. I'm going to respond in the comments. Let me know what you think the commonality was. I think it's quite obvious, but it might not be. My brain can be a little bit weird, but I thought it was quite obvious. But let's see. Let me know in the comments what you think the commonality is between all of those 4 cards, other than being a blueprint for relationships. There is something that's more visual. Okay, so love and blessings, everybody. Let me know how you found that reading. Hopefully it helped for this week. If you want to know a little bit more about the cards, the medallions in a box, you want to know a bit more about the Ascension, Akashic Ascension Aura Spray, and how that helps to elevate your practices, then please do reach out. So love and blessings, and I'll speak to you soon.